Okay, so as you can see, I've already laid down the one pattern here, and I'm going to duplicate the other one. And the way that I made this pattern was I made a cutout for the design here, and I'll show you the other two that I made, but I actually cut out 3 of these patterns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse it when I put it on this side. Now, to begin with, I need to get my material, whether it's MonoKote, MonoKote, or any other material that you want to use for this, down on the glass. And the way that you do that is give it a light spray with Windex and sort of smear it around so it's smooth and gets a light coating all the way around. And you're going to put your covering down and start working the air bubbles out of it. And you'll see that it actually sets down there pretty good. And so you try to get out as many air bubbles as possible. But the main idea here is just that you want this covering to be semi-smooth. I mean, you're going to have tiny bits of air bubbles. It's not imperative that you get all of them out, but you do want the material to stay down. Now, in this case, the MonoKote stay down. Now, like I said, this was the direction that I used for this first one when I did this, and I'm going to flip it on over for this side right here. Now, I made up these little bean bags. They're basically just bags of canvas material with shot in them, lead shot for used for shotgun shells and reloading. And you're going to go through many knife blades doing this on the glass. And make sure it's an old piece of glass because obviously you're going to scratch it up too. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this pattern around and make my cutout here. Across there. And then up here. And if you cut the pattern a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. And then now I'm going to make my last cut over here. Not last cut, second to last, I should say. Last side cut. And then I want to make a cut down here and follow this one. So what this is going to give me is this is going to give me the outline. And again, working with a sharp blade really helps on this, because if you don't have a sharp blade, you're going to end up ripping. Now you can see here that I didn't quite have it all the way, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that and see how good my cut is over at this side. Yeah, see, I'm kind of tight right here, so I want to follow this along. And there we are. I just didn't have enough pressure down. And my last piece up here, and there you are. So now I have the beginning of my pattern. Now what I did with the other one is I have one that's cut this direction so that I can make all my horizontal cuts, and I have a last one that's cut vertically. And again, because I flipped this upside down, I want to place these the opposite way, and that way again they will duplicate my pattern, which is on the other side of that V-tail. And I just get it pretty close. Now, you know, how accurate, I don't know that you have to be super accurate on this because you are cutting out the center sections. The main thing is just that and you can see that my blade is already starting to get dull just on these few cuts. So if you have a larger pattern, you really have to do quite a few blade changes. But again, I'm just going to match these up with the lines that I have there. And I'm going to follow this one around. Just like that. And now my last pattern, again, is the same one. I cut all 3 of them at the same time so they were exactly the same. And these are all the vertical cuts. And this is what's going to give me my checkerboard design. So I'll start from this side because I'm right-handed. It's easier for me to cut this direction. And I'll come over here. And now I'm also, you know, holding down and putting some pressure on these so that they keep the material straight. I also want to make my cut with a lot of pressure downward, not pushing from the sides so that it doesn't move my MonoKote here. And I'll get that lined up a little better. And that one came up a little bit, and I got a little bit of a goofy cut there, but I'll just have to live with that. And So then I make my last cut. Let me line it up again. Now these cuts in here are kind of hard to see, so you really want to. And again, my blade is getting really dull. So I'm actually angling a little bit more, trying to get a fresher part of the blade onto the MonoKote to make my last cuts here. So now I have made all my cuts. What I want to do is match this one, obviously. So I'm going to start with this corner because I want to take this one out because that equals this corner right here. So I'm going to get rid of this one, and then I can just work from that point on. Now, as you lift them up, I always like to hold down the ones that are in between just to make sure. Yeah, see how I pulled that one right up there? Now, if you just go slow, even if you pull up a little bit, you can always push it back down like I just did there. And I want to remove this one here. And this one looks like it moved just a tiny bit, so I'm going to adjust it back in before I take that piece out. And then I want this corner here. And again, you can see that my checkerboard pattern is starting to appear before our very eyes. And of course, if you want, you can use these other pieces to continue the checkerboard pattern elsewhere on the plane. Just try not to get the backs too dirty on them. And you can see that we have the exact same pattern, just the opposite direction. And I'm going to try and trim up, I think, this one piece here. So I'm going to try and trim this up just a little bit, get rid of that little bump that I had there. And hopefully I can do that without messing it up too much. There I go. There. So I got rid of that bump. Now it looks more like the other one.